That wasn't very confident. Yeah, sure it wasn't. It's just you didn't count yet. Are we recording? You didn't give me the count.
I
We are
mean,
recording.
yeah.
We are recording, aren't we? Hello, internet, and welcome to Say Report Jr. The show you should be listening to, downloading, and nope, I screwed it up. Hold on. Listening to, subscribe to, and downloading every week. Got it. You interrupted by not interrupting me. That
I
was such a mean way to troll.
I like I I started I forgot to count and I just hit the button and I was like, "Oh."
You ready? Yeah, I think I'm ready. You're not counting. What are we doing? I'm one of your host companions, Zach Sarowik.
And I'm the other host companion, Dale Decker, who is a
Like,
jerk.
well,
Well,
there's jerk and then there's just forgetful. I mean, I'm
no,
taking, I'm giving you the benefit of the
you
doubt that
can
that wasn't on purpose.
I mean, it's like it was. Let's be honest. I hit it and then I was like, "Oh, I should have counted."
Oh well,
Oh,
let's see what
I
happens.
think this is what I meant to do. I think no, that's what I meant to do. So, because I said
That's like
I was gonna do it at one point.
you did say at some point you might do that to me.
Yeah, so I got it out of
That
the way.
that ding, by the way, not my smoke detector. That was Messenger.
All right.
So,
Well,
so I'm gonna
since
just mute. I'm gonna mute my phone now.
you can mute your phone while I tell the story of how you ruined our smoke detectors.
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do
Well,
anything. I
I
didn't curse anything. I didn't use any voodoo dolls. I didn't use any black magic.
I think you did, and I think that is why I retaliated by not telling you when I started to record. No, but seriously, like the day the day after I told you about your smoke alarm and then you still did not change it, I woke up to a beep. A very because smoke alarms have a very distinct beep to them.
They have a chirp. They
They
have a
have a
chirp meant
chirp.
entirely to get your attention, or if
Exactly.
you're me, to recognize and immediately wipe from my brain.
Yeah.
So that is a noise I do not have to listen to.
So I woke up to this chirp because we have one upstairs, we have one downstairs, and then we have a third one like in the at the top of the basement stairs. So we have three total, and I woke up to the one upstairs chirping, and I'm like, God damn it. And I thought it was just that one, and then I came home from work, and the other two were chirping, and Devin changed out the batteries, and then there was more chirping. And then today, this night, Devin was making dinner and it started going off. The alarm started going off, so I was trying to shake a towel over near it to get the smoke away from it, and it stopped. And then it happened again, and this time it would not stop. And then it just kept going, going
You know,
off.
you know what it makes me
Devin
think of?
ripped it off of the ceiling and then took the battery out. So now we are down a smoke alarm. So
He pulled the Zach Sarowik
yeah,
method, which is
yeah.
just pull the battery out and don't worry about it. That
So
sounds exactly like there's a great episode of Simpsons where Homer is trying to become an inventor, and one of the things he invents is the everything's okay alarm, and it's just a smoke alarm that just goes off until something goes wrong. And so it's just beep, it will go off every 10 seconds, beep,
yep,
until because everything is okay, beep, and then it dies.
yep,
So
yep. Yeah, it was just so funny, and I'm like, I can't help but blame Zach.
I
Like he,
pulled the battery out of my smoke alarm. Its ghost rose into the ether, came down in Rhode Island, and said, "It's your turn now."
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's how things work in this
Zach
world.
sent me. I've been I've been sent to haunt you next.
Ooh, there are three. I don't know how many smoke alarms you have.
I have so much more room to
I
move
have
around
so
here.
much more room to play. God. Oh.
So how's your week been? How's things? Now,
Things are
aside from going crazy from smoke alarm.
no, things are good. Things are good. Um, my weekend I really didn't do much, which was nice. I basically just did laundry and sat around. And my weekend isn't a regular weekend, so I have it off, but nobody else does. Um, so I basically just sat on the couch, watched TV, played video games. It was really nice. It was really cool. Um, and I, so one of my bosses brought up a show to me, or like brought up a show to me from Netflix called River. Um, and
That sounds familiar, but I don't know if I've ever
it's Stellan Skarsgård.
one of the
Stellan Skarsgård.
Skarsgårds. Yeah,
Yes. Stellan Skarsgård, he's in Mamma Mia. He which I
the older Skarsgård.
yes. Yeah, so he's in Mamma Mia. He is in Pirates of the Caribbean. Um I think he plays someone's, he's like
He's
one of,
he's Bootstrap Bill, isn't he?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
He's got like a starfish on his face, which I did not realize it was him until I was looking through pictures of him yesterday. So that was cool. But this
Well, that would require
show,
you to remember Pirates of the Caribbean, and really, who does that?
yeah, exactly. Even though he was like the coolest character. Anyways, so this show River, I like put into my queue on Netflix like years ago. Probably, can I say years ago? It's probably like 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. But it's just been sitting there and I never touched it. It was just, I add a lot of things to my queue and then maybe watch an episode and never go back. Cough, cough, Shira. Cough, cough. A
Do it,
lot of
though.
other
Oh,
stuff.
do it. I have such an important thing to say
I know
about
you
one
do.
of those characters.
I know you do. But it's just like I'm in between like 4 or 5 shows right now on Netflix because I'm just bad at binging things. The best thing I've binged was Brooklyn Nine-Nine and The Orville. Those have been the two really like shows that I've binge watched correctly, if you can. But no, so I started River because my boss brought it up and he said it was great. So I started that and I can't say much about it because it's one of those, you just need to watch it. If you like have an hour, you just need to watch the first episode and see if it catches you, which it's probably going to. It's just, Stellan Skarsgård, I can't pronounce his name, plays a detective. I can't tell you what he is, searching for because it gives away a lot. It's just, it's probably one of, I don't know how to describe this. It is
Is this
the
one of the Joan
most.
Nesbo shows by any chance?
What is it?
Is it based on any of the novels by Joan Nesbo?
That I have no idea.
Okay, he's a Swedish author, and Stellan Skarsgård was also in a series based on one of his books that was then remade with Kenneth Branagh on the BBC. And so I was just wondering if like it was the same
No,
writer or the
I
same
don't
characters
know.
or anything like that.
I don't know. I'm not
Out
sure.
of curiosity.
That I haven't paid attention to. But it's one of those shows where I really like, you can't talk about it with someone unless they've watched it. You can't even give spoilers because someone out there who listens to this might listen to it and be like, "Oh, I need to watch that." And I can't give the usual spoilers that we give, which
Right.
sucks. But yeah, it's so good. And I watched the next 2 episodes and there's only 6 episodes. It's one season, there's 6 episodes. And that's
That
it.
sounds very
And they're an
European.
hour
Yep.
each. Yeah, and they're an hour each. So I
cool.
have
So check it
3
out.
left. Yeah, definitely check it out and let me know. So yeah. Definitely recommend it. And then I finally watched the Honey I Shrunk the Kid movies.
I heard.
So I watched Honey I Shrunk the Kids.
Uh,
Devin and I watched Honey I Shrunk the Kids, and then we watched Honey I Blew Up the Baby. Right? Was that
Blew Up the
one's
Kid.
title? Blew Up the
Honey, I
Kid.
Blew Up the Kid. Yeah.
Honey I Blew Up the Kid. Those movies are better than I expected them to be.
I've always been kind of afraid to go back and rewatch them, and it's really weird. So I don't think I've ever really I can't tell you the last time I sat down and watched Honey I Shrunk the Kids, the original, all the way through. I must have seen Honey We Blew Up the Kid like 1,000 times because it was always played on Disney Channel.
Yeah.
That was one of those like Sunday afternoon just movies that they could play whenever they wanted. And Honey We Shrunk Ourselves, I must have watched 8 million times and annoyed the hell out of my family. I was one of those annoying little kids that would excitedly shout out things from the trailer as they were happening in the movie. So the number of times I made my family sit down and watch this movie or just had it on while they were around
Yeah.
and I was repeating things ad nauseum. Oh God, I must have been so annoying. But
I
for whatever reason, ingrained itself as one of my favorite kids movies.
Yeah. I have a feeling that I've seen Honey I Shrunk Ourselves, but I'm not sure. Like when Honey I Shrunk the Kids started and it's the animated opening, I was like, what's the movie that takes place in a lab? And Devin was like, do you mean this movie that we are about to watch? And I was like, no, it's an actual lab. You know, there's like, and they're running around and it's crazy and it's an actual lab. And he was like, what?
So you were
So-
confused by the animated opening, much like your Little Mermaid experience, where you
Yes,
weren't sure that it
yeah.
was going to become live action at some point.
So no, it was just like something like sparked in my memory that I've seen something similar to Honey I Shrunk the Kids, but in a lab. But then the second one takes place in the lab, kinda, but it's also not the second one. Like, I've never seen the second one, so I have a feeling it might be the third one.
It's not, because movie entirely
Okay,
takes place
so
within
I
the
have
confines of their
no-
house.
I have no idea
You
what
might
this
have
movie
seen-
is in my head.
Is it possible you're thinking of like maybe an episode of the series?
No, I don't
It's very-
think so.
'cause
I
it's
don't think I've
always
ever
possible you're
seen the
thinking that.
series. But anyways, whatever. Because I have no idea what this movie is. And I've never seen the TV
It's Rick
series.
Moranis at his best. I don't know what, I
Yeah,
don't know what to tell you.
But I'm pretty sure that the movie that I thought of also had Rick
Rick Malop.
Yep. You know who I meant. Rick Moran. Oh my God.
Moranis.
Thank you. This is the same person who was just like coughing there. Oh my God. I drank water wrong and I was coughing the whole time. Anyways,
Oh, see, I thought that was your bronchitis coming
no.
back to haunt you.
Nope, that was me drinking water wrong. Yeah, no, but the Honey I Shrunk the Kids movies, both of them, it blew up the kid. They're just so fun, although terrifying, because
Those were definitely
like-
ones where they did not think about the implications of anything of what they were doing. They were just like, wouldn't it be funny if your kids shrank or one of them was giant, and they stopped there.
and it's like, but the whole scorpion scene in Honey I Shrunk the Kids, like legit terrifying. They could have died. I mean, they could have died at any moment, but I did not feel more more terror for them than in that moment. And I'm like, you're sleeping in a Lego, life is good, and then boom, scorpion, and you're dead. Like, this is how this movie is gonna go, and I was not ready.
Small. 1 minute you're so small, all you can really have to think about is, man, I never have to step on a Lego brick and feel ultimate pain ever again. And then the scorpion attacks.
It was crazy. But yeah, they were so good, and Devin kept being like, "Oh, MGM had this. I got to slide down that slide." And I'm like,
Yeah.
I wish it was
Oh,
still.
man.
I wish I could do that.
I don't know
You
if
know?
I've ever talked about this, but my 10th birthday, we went to Disney World and Universal Studios as like a big family trip for when I turned 10. And we went to every park in Disney at the time. So I almost said Animal Planet. Animal Kingdom was not open yet. Animal Planet was not a thing yet. But we went to the Honey I Shrunk Ourselves section, and we got to play around and all of that. And that was, oh my God, one of the greatest things. Because there was also probably a part of me that at 10 years old assumed that this was everything that was actually in the movie. It wasn't. They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't let little kids touch those things. Zach, don't be dumb. But there's definitely a part of me that at 10 years old went into that and went, oh my God, it's the stuff from the movie. There's the giant oatmeal pie, and there's the ant.
The oatmeal pie scene is so good. Like, when they just scoop it out. And the ant, I cried so hard because I knew it was going to die. And I was just like, damn it.
We're gonna kill something, and it can't be a kid. Kill the ant.
Kill the ant. Kill Auntie. Poor Aunt. Always remember Auntie.
Pour one out for Auntie.
Pour one out for Auntie. But yeah, no, they were. I was very pleasantly surprised by them. Had a lot of fun watching those. And then, what else have I done? Oh, I played some Destiny.
Did you? I've never played it. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, you've never played. No, Destiny. No.
I don't know. I remember more of the 2 times that we played Destiny this last week. I remember more the setup process than I do actually playing the game. Oh my God, the setup process for getting 4 people to sit down and play a game that really is only a 3-person game when it comes right down to it.
Yeah, like I can't believe that it. I don't understand why in a story thing you can only have 3 people. Like that does not make sense to me.
The only thing I can think of is there's upscaling that happens with whoever's the highest level in your group, and there's downscaling and all this stuff. There's a lot of weird scaling that they do to try and even things out, except for in Crucible, where they just stick you against a team of level 60.
Oh, that was awful.
Crazy people.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
but there's a lot of weird enemy power scaling that goes on with depending on the group. So they probably just like, if we just set it at 3, we can work with that number the easiest. Like that has to be the reason. Otherwise, you're right. There's no reason why it can't be 4 and why it can't be 6 and why it can't be others.
Well, because especially when you think of there are other people running around, right? Someone who is running around could have just started following us and like done similar things. I don't think they would have done the exact story stuff, but they would have, been around when stuff was happening.
Because largely that's the big thing is that like whoever kicks off the story thing, the other members of the team have to get the waypoints and stuff for that. But then you're right. Then there's also just people that can just follow and do that, but they're not getting any sort of credit for what they're doing, other than killing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely that's happened before with when I was just playing by myself. Because I've also never played purposefully never played with people in Destiny. This was the first time. This weekend was the first time that I've ever been in a fire team or anything like that. So it was a different experience.
We spent the first third of the time telling you to go do your own thing for a little bit because we couldn't follow you.
Exactly. Because I haven't played in a while, but no, but it's so I still love that game, as ridiculous as it is and as stupid as it is sometimes. I really like the story, I like the characters and all that, but I just wish playing together was better. And I really matchmaking, you can't put the low that just wasn't fun.
Yeah, let's explain to you. I muted you. Sorry, my phone went off again. So let's explain
I thought you said
a
you
little
muted
bit.
Me.
No, sorry, I stopped to yell at my phone for a second. We need to explain exactly what happened to us so that it doesn't sound like we're babbling.
So what happened basically was we all the Say Report family, so Devin, Sejan, Zach, and myself all went into Destiny 2 to play Crucible. And if you don't know what Crucible is, it's basically player versus player. You can do competitive mode, you can do quick play, you can just do, it's all player versus player stuff. And control the point, and I don't know what other. I don't think there are any other game
largely,
modes.
All largely different versions of the same thing, though, which are you get points for killing the team and capturing a point in various different formations.
Exactly. Yeah. So we go in, and we go into one match, and it was fairly even, I would say, our first match. Even though we lost, I still would say it was a fairly even match. I don't think we were killed. I don't think we were demolished.
Judging by the little clan tags that everybody had, it looked like that other team the first time was made up of 3 or 4 people that were not at least part of a clan.
Together, yeah.
So probably were not new people who knew each other, as opposed to us who all have the same tag because we were all in the same clan together. All of that.
Exactly.
That was not so much the case the second time, where we were definitely playing against 4 people who were definitely coordinating with each other.
And were scary. These people had to have put in hours upon hours upon hours into Destiny, and like they were level 600, right? Someone said
Yes,
they were
yes, they
level
were all level. They were
600.
all, yeah, they were all at level 50 and 600 power. They all
Yeah.
had guns that could kill us in like 3
Yep.
shots.
One
They all,
shot. Are you kidding me? I
they,
got one
yeah,
shotted so many times. Also, to give you some perspective, I believe I was at level 11. I was a level 11 person with a
and I
100 level light
and I went
power.
to and I
Like,
went to level 20 as we were playing those games. Like the
yeah,
experience for playing those Crucible matches got me
yeah,
to level 20.
yeah.
So we were
So,
fairly spread out.
and it was just it just got to the point where it was not fun anymore. Like it the closest thing I have to compare it to is Overwatch. All right? Because that is just the most player versus player that I've ever played. And in Overwatch, even low level people still can have fun because you're usually matched up with a team that is evenly matched. So, like, in your team, you will have maybe a level 10 or even a level 5 person grouped with a, like, third tier prestige, whatever magical unicorn person you have there, right? So, at least you have someone who can help. And then you, on the other team, there's basically that same loadout. And it's fun. And I mean, I feel like Overwatch is more user friendly than some other games like
That's
Destiny.
true. That is also. I mean, it's
But
weird that we're talking about two Blizzard products,
yeah, I
but
know, right?
it is also a game that is all that game is.
Exactly.
So like that's like what they
That's
have
what
to
they have
do
to
to make that
focus
game
on.
work, as opposed to Destiny, which is like 8 different things
Yeah.
smashed together, hoping that you'll come back and play.
Yeah. It was just crazy, and it just was not fun anymore. And then we started doing our own story stuff
And playing soccer.
and playing
Played a lot of
soccer.
soccer.
Yep. Yep. I got my Void Walker, so that was cool. I crossed the
I'm
void.
sorry, you mean your purple grenade?
My purple grenades. I got the purple grenades. The purple
uh,
power.
I played the same story mission twice because I followed Siege and Devon through it, and then I followed you through it.
Yep.
Like literally the same exact thing that I just did twice,
Yep.
and had fun doing it both times. That's the other thing. As much as like, so when I got Destiny 2, I had never played Destiny. I had heard all
Yeah.
the different things about Destiny, a lot of stuff about initially about how when it first launched it was kind of boring, and then there was a couple of crappy DLCs and then a really good DLC. And so when Destiny 2 came out, my assumption was they kind of figured out a lot of that. So I picked it up and I really enjoyed when I got it. And I played it a lot. Like I
Mm.
definitely have gotten my $60 worth out of this game. And I'm still up in the air about spending more money on DLC, but I don't regret buying and playing Destiny 2. But I
That's
definitely
good.
was like played through the whole story and everything with the Warlock class and unlocked all of that stuff, and it was great. And then I started playing Titan and got about halfway through, and that's when I started to lose my mind again. But it says something that I could play it 1.5 times
Yeah.
and still like that's still a full game. Like that's still a 20 or 30 hour campaign 1.5 times. So I
Yeah.
got 60 hours out of that game.
Exactly.
And now having like more people to play with regularly and just kind of go through at my own pace, I think that's the other thing that helps. Between the four of us, none of us is like rushing to finish this game anymore.
Yeah. I think
So
I do think that I need to finish the story before we do anything else
mm,
because I care about the story
right, that's
a
the other thing though. Is
lot.
like there's so much of that story. Like at this point for me, that story is a year and a half old, and so like I don't even think
Well,
about that. But
yeah, because I don't remember a lot about it. I mean, let's be honest. I haven't even finished the story of Destiny. I don't think I might have.
well, my understanding was that there wasn't very much story in Destiny to begin with,
Well, there
and
is,
so
but I mean, there is, but it's also kind of chopped up, and it's kind of like how Destiny 2 is. It's a story, but it gets chopped up because of all the other stuff you can do and all the
right.
other stuff that you get tasked to do that you lose the story while you go through. But the first night we played, and I think it was Siege and Devin and I. Um, I think Devin was still downloading, so Siege and I did a story like the story that I had to do, and we went through and we watched it, and I couldn't really pick up everything because we were talking and all that, and I'm like, all right, I think I know what's happening, and then we played through again for Devin because he had to do the same story mode, and then we played through their next part, and, and Devin skipped over all the story.
Oh
And I
God.
was like, oh no, I don't know what happened. So I need to find it on YouTube. But then even were we playing last night? No, the 2 nights
Two
ago
nights
when
ago.
we were playing, I put on subtitles and like just tuned you guys out. Cause I'm like, I'm not dealing with this anymore.
Yeah, when I was
I
talking
want
to
to play with you guys, but
when I
I
jumped on,
also want to know.
I was talking to Siege about something. We were trying to figure out the ridiculous map process in this game to figure out
Yes.
where we were going. And so I was talking to Siege about it, and I realized we were talking about because our characters were a lot lower level than what we were playing the first night. We realized, oh, okay, that's why, because this thing moves at this point, and this thing moves, and all of a sudden he's like, you should also make sure that when Dale jumps on, you stop talking about that. I was like, what? You mean blank? He's like, yeah. It's like that's like we talked about it like 10 times the other night when she was downloading it. Why can't I talk? I was like, I think she tuned that out, and she's very, very adamant that she not get spoiled on the story, even though it's just a thing. It's like, oh, okay, I will not talk about this
Yeah.
thing then.
I mean, there's it's so weird how much I care about the story because really, like you said, is there a story?
I mean, there
And
is
like how
to
I
two.
just
That's the
said,
thing. Like Destiny One, that like the big kind of thing was there's a story, but so much of it is locked behind like things that you pick up and stuff. Like it's not
exactly.
actually in the game itself, as opposed to Destiny 2, which definitely has a story and a campaign.
Yeah.
But
But it's just the I'm so invested in this story that I barely remember anything. Too. I just remember how I felt that first moment Gaul kicks you off of the cliff and then you have to like
drag
trudge,
your
you have to
way through. Yeah,
drag yourself through this broken city, and I just remember like in tears, and I'm like, this is like my livelihood. I like the light is my life. Like the fact that I don't have my light right now is terrifying. And then all the stuff of, oh, the light came back to you, and I wonder why the light came back to you. And I mean, it's you're the main person.
because
Obviously, the
the
game
game
needs
needed it
to
to come back to someone.
exist.
What I love
But
is that story element happening while 50 other people are playing around you that are also getting that same story mission and being
yeah,
told they're the one that got their life back. Like, well, me
exactly.
and the 50 other guys behind me. But I get what you mean.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get,
It's so
suspension of
ridiculous.
disbelief in an MMO. I got it.
Exactly.
I'm
It's
the
just
chosen one of the million people playing this game.
I that has always made me laugh. Even back when I was playing Pirates 101 and Wizards 101, and it's like you're the one. You're the one who needs to save the world, and it's like, yeah, but okay. Yeah, that's fine. I'll believe you.
Sure.
Even though there's like another person here standing on top of my sprite and I can barely see
This guy's
myself.
dancing
All
on my
right.
head. Okay, sure.
But yeah, no, it's just so ridiculous how invested I am in the story that I really don't know much about. Except I know the characters. Kinda.
I know the characters from the commercials. That's
Yeah,
about as much as I
yeah.
know.
I mean, it like I sent you guys that meme of I don't know if you saw it, but
I probably did.
I created a Devin and I. First of all, Destiny invaded my dreams, which when that happens, it's time to take a break from video games. But Destiny definitely invaded my dreams. And then the next morning, Devin and I were talking and about how much I care about the story, which again is ridiculous. But oh, sorry. How much I care about the story, and the one that he skipped was Utopia, which I mean, honestly, I don't really care that much that he skipped it, but I would like to know what happened, so I still need to find the YouTube video of what
I
happened.
don't even remember Utopia.
Yeah, it's like the fact that I remember the name of the mission that like all of these people playing Destiny do not remember is telling in itself. But
I remember
was like,
most of that story I remember as, oh yeah, that moment when this dumb thing happened or this silly thing happened. It's
Yep.
like the mission that we played Monday night. I couldn't tell you anything about it except, oh, it's the one where Cade keeps teleporting around places, and so you just hear Nathan Fillion screaming every now and then. I'm like, oh, I'm over here. No, I'm back here. Hey,
yeah,
over here.
but like that was so good. And then so I'm talking to Devin. I'm like, I don't know what happened during Utopia, and now Ikora is missing. And he's like, Ikora's not missing, Dale. She's on Io. And there's a lot of people listening to this right now, and they're like, "What are these two? What are these two talking about? Play Destiny, you'll get it, or just watch YouTube, you'll get it."
Ugh.
But he was like,
the like short version of the story to Destiny 2 is because of Destiny 1, you have a very powerful godlike character, and
Yep.
so they wrote a story reason for you to not have your power anymore, and you have to get it back.
Yep.
The end.
pretty much. But he was just like, Ikora's on Io, and I'm like, yeah, maybe, we don't know. And he's like, no, the game is making us go to Io. Why would we have to go to Io to not find Ikora? And I was like, to find her dead body and make me cry. Like, that is what this sole purpose of this game is.
To be honest, like, the adventure quest, like National Treasure Indiana Jones style of story, which is, I think the thing is here, and it's, nope, the thing's not here, but here's a clue to where it is next.
Exactly. But so, because Devin does not give a shit about any of the story of Destiny. So it's really funny to have conversations about the story of Destiny with him. Yeah, that's been my week. I also tried Fallout 76.
Oh, that's right. Oh, Fallout 76, my broken baby. Yeah. Oh, you're such a broken little, you're such a useless and broken toy that I can't stop picking up and going, I think I can figure it out this time.
I think I can fix you. I can fix you. Oh, wait, no.
So, what's your experience with the Fallout games before this? Have you played any of the Fallout games before this?
I played Fallout 4 for maybe 20 minutes. And then...
So you got maybe half of Bethesda's giant opening that they have to put at the beginning of every freaking game.
Yep. Yeah. So I played up until the part where you get the suit.
Yeah, you literally got halfway through the opening. Okay.
Yeah, and then I think I threw away a gun. And then the big giant monsters started to come at me, and I was like, I have no way of killing these. I'm done with this game.
Oh, you're back on 76. Sorry.
No. This is Fallout 4.
Fallout 4. Wait, what suit did you get? I'm very confused. That's not there's no monsters in the opening of that. You get the suit, and then you get cryogenically frozen. So
No. Okay, so Fallout 4, right? You start, you go, and it's you and your husband and your baby, right? Or you and your wife, depending on which gender you choose.
Damn it, Bethesda. In your heteronormativity. Anyway.
So, and you get ready, you do your whole face stuff and all that, which I spend way too much time on.
Oh, it's the best though.
It really is. 70. When I played 76, I was at my friend's house, and he was like, can you be done? I just want you to play the game. And I'm like, I need to make sure that my nose is correct.
What your friend didn't tell you is that he was afraid that you would realize that is really the only functioning and good part of that game is the character creation.
But yeah, so Fallout 4, you do that, and then you go into the vault, and then you wake up and you find out your significant other one is dead, and the baby is dead. To which I started crying.
So when you said suit, I thought you meant like the moment when you walk into the vault and they hand you your vault suit and then you get the chamber. Okay.
No.
Okay. Never mind.
No. I got out of the vault. And then you get out of the vault, and then you go to the Revolutionary Museum.
You're talking about the power armor when you come out of the helicopter and jump badass into the street. Is that what you mean when you got your suit?
Do you come out of... a helicopter? I don't know. You go up to the top of the museum. It's like the
Yeah.
Revolutionary War Museum. You go to the very top, you go to the roof, and there's a suit there, a power suit. You put that on, and then, like, you jump off the building,
Okay. Did you
and
take the minigun like you were supposed to when you did
I
that? Because that's
don't
like a
think I did.
significant. See, there you go. That's why that didn't work for you.
I
You're
know!
supposed to rip the minigun out of the helicopter and then start shooting people.
So everybody I tell this story to, that's the reaction. Because did not do that. I instead grabbed a piece of wood and was
Oh my
like,
God.
I can do this. I'm in
You
a
tried to
power
do
suit.
you tried to pull a like Dark Souls what's the class in Dark Souls where you get nothing?
I
Like
don't
you start off
know.
with like you start there's a class in Dark Souls where you start off with like a loincloth and a wooden stick and no help whatsoever as
Oh,
far as like
yeah.
items.
Yeah.
And like that's what it sounds like you did.
Yeah,
It was like, no, I got this. Give
cause,
me a board with a nail in it. I got this. Don't worry about
Because I
it.
did not grab the minigun, or I did grab the minigun and then immediately threw it away on accident. I don't
Also
remember,
possible. It's
but I,
entirely possible.
but I definitely was like, I have no gun to fight these
I like
things.
to think that
I'm
you
gonna grab
accidentally
this.
just switched weapons, which means you had the minigun the whole time. You just didn't have it equipped, which would
Yeah.
be even funnier.
It was probably what happened. I could open up the save data of my Fallout 4 and see what happened and see where I
Uh,
screwed up. Now, and then the big things start coming at me, and I have the piece of wood in my hand or the bat or whatever, and I'm like, this game sucks. I'm done
oh
with this.
man.
So I stopped playing it, which yes, and I admit and I know
It's
in my
okay.
heart that it was not a fair assessment of the game, but
No,
I
but
was
at the
just
same time,
done.
so first off, it's a fair assessment in that the game didn't obviously like point you in the right direction well enough, which is definitely a problem with Bethesda games in general sometimes. What I like to think is that what you actually missed after that is if you got through all of that, the next like 3 hours of that game is getting the group out of the museum back to your hometown and then being taught the entire like Sims like building aspect of that game that is really not super fun and then all of a sudden getting trapped in an endless loop of going to help other settlements in the name of the Minutemen over and over and oh
So
my god there's a lot of problems with Fallout 4, a game I loved and played through and also recognize is also a broken child. So
so now that you just explained the stuff after the minigun mishap, I don't remember because I definitely met Dogmeat, the dog.
you meet Dogmeat on the way out of your town to the museum in the first place. Dogmeat's one of the you meet them at the gas station outside of town, like
Oh,
on the
okay. All right.
so
Never
yeah,
mind then.
no, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
no, then I definitely stopped at the minigun thing.
Yes, yeah,
Because I
yeah, because you
definitely.
probably stopped when the Deathclaw came out of the sewers, and you didn't have a weapon that would defeat a Deathclaw unless you just had the minigun strapped to your back without noticing. Which I just love that image. That's a very SpongeBob image of you standing there with with like a stick and a giant gun strapped to your back, and going, "Well, all I have is this stick."
Yeah, so I don't know.
So yeah, then
What happened?
Fallout 76 basically strips away any story part of Fallout 4 and leaves you with the building part and
Yeah,
the wander around till you run into stuff part.
yeah.
Like that's what Fallout 76 is. And
Um,
they couldn't even do that right because the game is glitched so poorly.
I also have played maybe 5 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes of Fallout 3. So I've played as the baby, and then I was the young myself. I was the young
Hmm.
child at the birthday party. But I don't think I got out of the vault because I just didn't have time because
It's such a
I
long
was
it's like a
playing my friends.
45-minute opening to Fallout
Yeah.
3. The best part of it is right at the beginning when you realize your dad is Liam Neeson. Once you've had that realization, you go, "Well, there's nothing cool about this opening anymore." Because your dad is played by Liam Neeson.
Really? Wow, I
Yeah,
missed that.
he's voiced
That's
by Liam Neeson.
amazing.
That was one of those things when I played Fallout 3. like which I've said before is the reason that I'm like the video gamer I am now. Fallout 3 is the thing that like got me into video games in a way that is like probably unhealthy at this point, but it also took me like half the game before I realized that Liam Neeson was my dad.
Nice.
Because I spent a good chunk of that game going, why does this voice sound so familiar? Who is that? Because in Oblivion, which was Bethesda's game before that, it was Patrick Stewart as the king.
Oh my
And so
god.
like I was under the impression that they just had a habit of hiring like one really prolific person to just show up and just like voice somebody. Oh man.
That's crazy. Yeah, no, so I started Fallout 76 and I immediately started a fist fight with someone in the vault because you couldn't do actually I
You
thought
can't pull a
about
weapon in
I
the
thought about starting a fist fight and then this person started a fist fight, but you can't hurt anybody. You can't hurt each other. Then this is my like hour experience of Fallout. Made my character, spent too much time on my character, left, did all the stuff in the vault, left the vault, went the wrong way, started getting attacked, and didn't have any way, did not know how to fight anything because my friend Joe was like, "I just want you to play. I just want to see if you can do what you do. I'm not going to try and help you." So I
well,
went the wrong way, did not get a weapon, was just killing, like, punching stuff to kill it. And then he was like, you should I'm going to just go back to the vault. I'm going to help you now.
I actually don't remember when they give you your first gun or like if they give
Well,
you your first gun, but I mean there's a good chance one of the things you killed probably had a gun on it and you just never picked it up.
that's also very true because I was hearing a sound effect of, like, coins, like,
Yeah,
chinging.
that's just the you killed the thing. That's the you
Yeah,
killed the
I
thing
thought
sound.
I was collecting stuff.
No.
Yeah, nope.
Yeah, that's basically the
Mm-mm.
sound of your experience going up.
Yeah,
What that is your experience going up and nothing else. This is
yep,
part of the biggest problems with Fallout 76 is that it assumes that you played at least Fallout 4. It just
yeah,
assumes that you are coming to them from Fallout 4 because it's essentially Fallout 76 is I just played Red Dead. I started the Red Dead Online beta recently
yeah,
to check that out and they are very comparable experiences, which is we expect that you've played the other game this is tied to, so there's not a ton that we're going to give you. Like we're not going to explain how like your inventory works or anything because like all of the stuff that they assumed. The difference is that Red Dead Online came with Red Dead Redemption 2 and I didn't have to spend another $60 on it.
yeah,
And so like the fact that it's kind of barren and they're still working some stuff out, it's also still in beta. So like there's assumption that things are going to change. But Fallout 76 is like, oh, here's a beta for an online addition to Fallout 4, but spend $60 on it and also we're definitely saying this is not in beta in a complete game, even though it's a complete trash fire.
yeah. It was crazy. And then I got a machete and I teamed up with someone, the person who started the fist fight with me, and he just started running in circles. And I was like, his gamer tag was like John something. So I kept yelling at the TV, John, like, what are you doing, John? And then he like ran off to the next thing, and there are scorches or whatever. The like
Yes.
scorches. Okay, so we run into these scorches. I kill one, and he's over in the corner, and the little revive thing is blinking, and I'm like, God damn it, John, why did I team up with you? Like, but here's the thing, I know you're gonna die without me, so now you suck with each other. So I go and I save him, and I kill all the guys, and I save him, and we start walking, and again, he's just running in circles. And I'm getting so frustrated. I'm like, you just need to continue on. We just need to continue on. And then we come to the camp where the overseer's camp is, right?
Right.
And I take a nap because that's a thing you can do in Fallout to get your health back.
But because
And
you're playing in
and
any
it
normal
takes like
Bethesda
5
game,
minutes.
yeah, because in any normal Bethesda game, you take a nap and then a little thing comes up that says, "How long do you want your character to sleep?" And then it skips ahead those in-game hours, and then you're awake and you're refreshed and you're good. That system doesn't work in an MMO when other people still need to be playing the game,
Yeah.
and so they make sleeping real time.
Yeah. So I sleep, and I took a picture of it, and there's the John, and he's just looking at me. His gun is pointed at me, and then he
Oh,
runs away.
He was definitely debating shooting you in your sleep.
He just
So
can you
here's the way
hurt
that's
each other in the real?
you you can. So here's the way that system works. as far as I can tell, because again, very poorly explained. Um, Theoretically, you can shoot at each other and it will do like a very minimal amount of damage unless you fire back, which is your way of saying, yes, we're doing a PvP
Yeah.
fight now. Unless you accidentally have a bounty on you, which happened to me. So
Oh.
like you talked about, there's the camp system, which is the thing where you set up your own little settlement with your own stuff that you can kind of carry with you, and that has all of your workbenches and workshops and stuff like that. Um, and that's like the CAMP camp system.
Mm.
But there are also settlement areas around the map, which are indicated by like a I think it's like a hammer and a wrench or something, where normally you can't set up your camp too close to something on the map. It'll tell you you're too close to this or that. But these settlements you can start building like literally within them, and then they will also build up resources for you and all this stuff. And it becomes a massive pain in the butt because then people will come in and try to steal stuff from you, and so you spend the whole game trying to defend that instead of playing the game of Fallout 76. So so I don't even do that. I've never bothered with that. But I did come up to one that had been claimed, and so I was like, okay, so here's the stuff this guy built. I'm not going to take that stuff. That's rude. I'm going to go into this shack that's clearly part of just the thing on the map and break into a toolbox and steal a wrench or something, whatever's in there. And it still considered me stealing from the character that had claimed the area. And so now I had a 10 bottle cap bounty on my head. And when you have a bounty on your head, you are no longer required to shoot back at people.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So I was like running around the map, and I'm like running into this gas station, and I'm like shooting some ghouls and some scorches, and the next thing I know, there was a guy, I saw him like in another building, and I waved to him. I did the little wave emote, and then he must have looked at the map and realized I had a bounty. And at some point he had come up to the door, and he just threw a grenade into the building and blew me up. Just out of nowhere. I'm sitting there shooting off, like defending myself from 10 things trying to
Oh
kill me.
my
And the next thing I know, I hear a
god.
grenade go off and I just blow up. And that's the end
Oh
of me.
my god. Ridiculous. So I Fallout 76, not my game, I don't think.
Oh, and at the same time, I
Not
will go
not my
back and
game.
play it again.
Not my
I,
game to buy. I will not buy Fallout 76. If someone has it, maybe if I want to kill some time, have some fun, but I am not going to buy Fallout 76.
it is a game that, in concept, on paper, I love the idea. Because the idea is like the very vague story going on around this, which also, again, requires you to kind of know other Fallout lore, which is
Yeah.
crazy. Um, so the vault system in the Fallout series is that they were actually a series of social experiments. There was a couple of control vaults, but the rest of them were just kind of screwed up experiments on uh, different ways for societies to work. So like in Fallout 3, you can come across one that's literally all clones. What if this entire vault was made up of clones of the one same guy? And when you go in there, they've all gone insane and they just run around screaming, Gary, 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 and then they shoot you. And
Oh.
then and because they've all gone insane, because they've all been locked away together with a guy that looks exactly like a million other guys that look exactly like them. And then there's like the vault that you come out of in Fallout 3 is all based on what is essentially a dictatorship. The overseer has all control over all decision making and all of this stuff. And there's all these different things that you come across in different vaults. And in Fallout 76, the vault that you were in was
It's
one of
all
the
the
control
smart
vaults.
people.
Right. It was one of the control vaults, which was they put what they considered the elite of society into, so that when you would be the first vault to open up, go out into the wasteland and start rebuilding society. That's a great idea. They didn't execute on any of that well because, like, there's this whole thing going on where there are other people that survived the bombs that were not in the vaults, which is not a thing that's ever really come up in Fallout before, so it makes no sense, like timeline wise. Like they have a really not explained anything about who these people were, how they survived, what they were doing. It's all insane. But I like the idea of you all go out there and you're the only people. Like there's a reason that there's 24 people in the map and no NPCs. Because the idea is supposed to be that you're the only ones left alive, except for this storyline they're doing where there was definitely other people alive that are now dead again. And so it's like, why did you even bother? because I
Jeez.
like the idea of we're the only people on the map and we have to rebuild things. But that's not what you did. You tried to also have like a vague story going on in the background, and that vague story doesn't work unless you give up on the concept of your original plan to begin with. Oh my God, Bethesda, what did you do?
Interesting.
My
I. How was your week?
week's been great.
Now that we've
My week,
now that we're 49 minutes into this episode.
it happens. My week's been great. I mean, the best thing is we talked about two of the biggest things, which was
I
I
know.
jumped into Red Dead Online, which for right now, like the biggest thing with Red Dead Online is that because it's in beta, there's like some story set up to your character just so that you feel like you have stuff to do, and then there's only like two things on the map you can really do. There's like horse racing and some of those like stranger missions that I mentioned before that are like, here's the different activities you can do to earn some money on Red Dead Online.
Yeah.
That's all you can do right now.
Nice.
I'm assuming there's more stuff coming,
Well,
but
yeah, beta.
but
There has
but
to be more stuff.
but there is also just straight up PvP in this because they just are like, oh, well, you're outlaws. So, like, you're kind of just trusting that the other people on the map don't feel like shooting you for no reason, which did happen to me. I had to run away from a guy last night because he was just firing away at me.
Wow.
It happens.
Yeah. Grenade
So there's that.
and all that.
Let's see. I finished Birds of Prey.
Yes.
It got. I did it. I did the thing I always do, which is that after 13 hours, my brain was rewired to kind of like the show. Um,
That's you. That's how they get you, Zach.
so, well, you know what it was a lot of the stuff that I complained about at the beginning in the first like few episodes of the series. They started to actually explain things which I didn't think they would do. So, like the whole new Gotham thing, they actually explained
Oh.
because and tied it to my favorite Batman comic run ever. There is a run of the Batman comics in the lore called No Man's Land, which comes right after one called Cataclysm, which was just a few issues, which was essentially a massive earthquake hits Gotham and destroys it. And the government response to that is we just walled off Gotham and fucking forgot about it. We gave people like maybe a day to get out of the city, and then we just walled off this city and left it to do whatever. It's a lot what Dark Knight Rises was based on.
Yeah.
Um, and so No Man's Land is this, I think 5 books, so it must have been like a year-long series in Batman, which was everybody just trying to survive inside Gotham with no support whatsoever. And like Batman disappeared because like as Bruce Wayne, he had lobbied the government for help for Gotham and failed and felt so ashamed that he like disappeared from Gotham. And like Gordon is running around with the cops trying to do his best to basically run them as a street gang that is like for authority. So like the big thing is every gang has its own tag, and that's how they mark off their territory. So there's like a Joker gang and a Gotham PD gang and a Two-Face gang and a Penguin gang, and they're just like fighting for territory inside Gotham in this walled off like decrepit city. It's so good. It's such a good run. But Birds of Prey is New Gotham is what they built after that cataclysm. So they actually tied it back to existing canon
Oh,
that
that's
I
cool.
didn't expect. I was like,
Huh.
oh my God, you actually tied it to this thing in the best way you could have. Because there's just an episode where they go underground into old Gotham. And I was like, oh, there's an old Gotham. That's really all I needed to know. So New Gotham is not just a thing you've been calling the city for no reason. There's like a reason for it.
Good.
Oh my God,
Good.
and then it also doesn't. It also helps that like Mitch Pileggi showed up, who's one of my favorite character actors. He is Skinner in the X-Files, and he shows up, I think, as their grandfather in Supernatural. So, like, I'm assuming, I think I just named 2 shows you have never watched, but
Yeah.
I think you would probably recognize him. I can't think of a lot of things outside of that he's been in, but guy works a lot. I'm sure you've seen him, but like tall, bald, very like badass, stern-looking dude.
Okay.
Who
Yeah.
was a boxer, I guess, before he was an actor. So
Yeah.
like he's all muscle. But like he shows up, and when he shows up, he always brings his A game. So that was a great episode. And then like Harley Quinn like starts they kill people. They like killed someone's she like killed someone's boyfriend. And I was like, oh my God, you straight up killed a dude in this series. I didn't think he would do that. That they were just like, yep, she just straight up just stabbed him like 3 or 4 times in the heart and just
Jeez.
left his body there. It's like, wow, that went darker than I thought you were gonna go. Cool. Like that's
Jeez.
so getting a really weird insight into what gets Zach interested in TV shows. It was just all of a sudden there was this like string of unexpected things happening that I went, well, I can't make fun of this anymore. I loved it.
Because it gave me everything I wanted.
And then after live tweeting all 13 episodes
Oh my
with a
god.
hashtag I kind of thought I made up, which was just Birds of Prey TV, I finally clicked on it and I realized that that's like a thing they use whenever they go to like conventions and stuff. So like I'm just in
Nice.
the mix. I'm just my tweets are just in the mix with a
Someone's
bunch
gonna be
of
scrolling through.
actual
Someone's gonna be scrolling through and be like, "Oh, this guy. What,
like wait,
this guy. What
someone
is
spent
happening
7
with
straight days watching all 13 episodes of this series, and sometimes they were good about it and sometimes they were a jerk. Wow, that's surprising. Oh
so
man.
good. That's so funny.
So I mean I still don't know if I could recommend it though, because I could tell it's a show because it's definitely a show I liked watching. I am terrible at deciding when my taste will like line up with any other human beings. It's the problem.
I get
So,
that.
uh,
Nice.
so I mean, it's on CW's website for free. I mean, there's ads and stuff, but for free. So I don't know. Check out a few episodes.
If
See
if
how you feel, everybody.
if you've been following the last couple of
Uh,
episodes
there's
and
an
you
episode.
think you heard something that might make you want to watch Birds of Prey, go to the CW.
There's an
We are
episode where
not
they find a
endorsed.
baby. There's an episode where they find a baby that like super ages over the course of like 4 days, and they just name him Guy. So
Oh
when
my
you look up
god.
his credits, he's just Guy,
Nice.
and he's played. But the best thing is because he's played at like 5 different ages in the series, it's baby Guy and toddler Guy and 11-year-old Guy
Nice.
and then 30-year-old
awesome.
Guy.
That's fantastic.
Oh, and then Aunt Becky from Full House shows up as
Yep.
the first Black Canary. So there you go. Like, I mean, it's Aunt Becky. Why not? And
Why
the
not?
worst graphics for the Canary Cry ever, which are just giant yellow rings superimposed onto the screen. Uh,
There you go. If that's what tickles your fancy, go and watch Birds of Prey.
it was like watching a B movie series. That's what I decided it was like by the end of it, and
Yeah.
that was the thing that I,
I mean,
think
it
made me fall
sounds it.
with it. Is it was like, well, it's like if Smallville was them bringing their A game to TV and like this is great, and then they were like, let's see if we can do it again, but on like half the budget. Like that's what Birds of Prey feels like. Is like this like B movie version of Smallville, which is like perfect. Sure, why not?
That's so
Uh,
good. Oh, that's great.
and then I finally finished the last. No, it's not the last. It's the 10th of 14 seasons of Supernatural. I finally got around to
Nice.
finish that season I was on for like a year. Supernatural's a weird show.
It
Supernatural's a
really
weird show
is.
because it's a show that like I could get in the mood to watch for like 2 or 3 days in a row, just binge a bunch of episodes, and then completely forget about it for months.
Yeah, I don't know. I've only seen like 2 or 3 episodes because we were in a cabin in Maine, like, staying in a cabin in Maine, and there's only like 3 channels, and one of the channels had Supernatural, like a Supernatural marathon going on. So we just put it on the background.
Sounds about right.
And it was pretty cool. I had no idea what was going on, except the mom from The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody was there. So
Yeah,
I was
sometimes
sold.
there are points where it gets stuck in its own lore, and then there are points where they do like one-off episodes, and it's. Oh, I think for 14 years it has struggled to maintain that balance well.
Yeah. People
But
love
it's also
it, though. People love
and it's
it.
strange. Here's the thing: Supernatural is also the reason that Netflix and Hulu are what they are today. It's like almost
okay.
solely, it is on Supernatural. But before I talk about that, I have to talk about One Tree Hill for a second because this leads into it. So One Tree Hill and Supernatural are both CW WB shows along with Smallville. They're all on kind of at the same time, right? So at the same time that Smallville is on, you also have for their like primetime soap opera show is One Tree Hill. Have you ever seen One Tree Hill?
No. I've
So
heard of it. I've never seen anything.
One Tree Hill stars Chad Michael Murray and then a bunch of character actors that I recognize and could not give you the real name of, including
Perfect.
Minkus from Boy Meets World.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, he's in it for almost the entire series too. Um, so
Good for
One Tree
Minkus.
Hill in its first season was a very soap opera show about Chad Michael Murray and his single mom. And I can't remember if he learns this in the. I think he learns this in the first episode in the pilot that his father is basically the richest guy in town, whose legitimate son, with the marriage that he's in, is like on track to be like he's like freshman basketball star that's going to be like already on the fast track to Duke and be like his meal ticket for the rest of his life and all of that, right? And of course, it turns out that Chad Michael Murray is better at him than basketball, and that creates drama. Like that's like
Of course.
literally what the setup to this show is. Season 9 of that show, the final season, Chad Michael Murray has left for like 3 seasons ago, along with the girlfriend that he had through the whole series. So now like the main cast has switched to that guy, that very good basketball player that I don't remember the name of,
Yeah.
and like Chad Michael Murray's best friend who ends up married to him, and like their friends. Like there's like a whole new cast almost by the end of the series. And season 9 opens up with the basketball player has been kidnapped by Russians. One of his friends is having blackouts from childhood trauma. One of her friends
What?
might be getting divorced because their husband had twin babies, and her husband locked one of them in the car in the heat, and the baby survived, but it was a very dramatic scene.
What
And
the
another one is
hell?
like losing. Yeah, it goes
What?
buck wild by the end of this series. And that was a show that only should have lasted 5 years. Same with Smallville. Smallville and One Tree Hill were shows that were meant to last 5 years and be done. And that
Yeah.
is like the story. That was what was written, and Supernatural as well. Um, and One Tree Hill was one of the last big shows where mail-in campaigns would save the show pretty much every season. So like fifth season comes around, show's wrapping up, they're getting ready to end, and all of a sudden, the WB gets maybe 20 million basketballs sent to them that all say, please don't cancel One Tree Hill. And like every year
That's
it becomes
awesome.
this thing where like the end of the season is coming up and the rumors start swirling that it might not come back, and all of a sudden the fans are writing mailers and doing all these things, and
Yep.
this is all just as Facebook is becoming a thing. Twitter's not even a thing yet. Like it's all this like the last kind of big real fan push that didn't include social media.
Yeah.
Um, and so Supernatural has started in this time. Supernatural starts in, I want to say, 2005, because Jensen Ackles was on Smallville for a season where he plays an assistant coach that's dating one of the 17-year-old leads, and
Oh.
that is not considered weird. Um,
Oh.
it's considered weird. It's considered weird in that the characters definitely know they have to hide their relationship, but the show makes it romantic. Hate WB sometimes. Um, but
Okay.
he then doesn't make it through season 4, and then immediately he's on Supernatural the next year. And so Supernatural, again, 5-year show. Like literally, you can even see in the 5th season the guy that created the show very specifically wrote a very specific ending to season 5, which is the ending they went with, and then completely went, oh, but then there's a season 6 and they didn't really die, basically.
Jeez.
Basically. So but the reason that happens is because right around season 4 or 5 of Supernatural, like I think it was like as season 5 was starting, maybe Hulu and Netflix were becoming bigger,
Yeah.
and WB at this time had thrown all of their old shows onto Netflix and Hulu, and the response to Supernatural, just from the first 4 seasons going up on the show, saved it from being canceled, basically.
Wow.
That goes up and becomes like, it had always been a hit for them for its 5 years or whatever, but it had never been like huge.
Yeah.
Season 5 gets blown out of the water, like blows the rest of the series out of the water, because all of a sudden, like right before season 5 started, the 4 seasons before it had gone up on Netflix and Hulu, and everyone had caught up with it, and all of a sudden season 5 is huge. And so they turn around to the guy that created the show and they're like, there's no way we can cancel this. This thing's the only thing keeping this channel going right now. It's not ending. and and so now it's basically it's like it's almost stuck in a loop where they're not allowed to die. They're not allowed to kill off Supernatural anymore. They're on 14 seasons now because it just is like CW just is the Supernatural channel with the Arrowverse. Like that's all it is anymore.
Oh my god.
And what's crazy is you also get into this situation for the 5 seasons that I have watched after those 5 seasons, the first five, is that they don't know what the hell to make this show anymore because it doesn't have like an overarching story. And so all 5 seasons follow almost the same exact pattern, which is one of them. So at the end of season 5, somewhat spoilers, I'm not going to say which one, but at the end of season 5, one of the brothers sacrifices himself to stop the apocalypse, and the other one goes off to live basically a normal life with a family.
Oh.
So season 6 starts with the brother that sacrificed himself has miraculously brought himself back from hell and gets the other one roped back into monster hunting. But there's something kind of off about him because he's been in hell and his soul is sort of damaged. And so in the
Yeah.
middle of season 6, there's a big blowout where they end up fighting about the fact that things are weird and different now, and they get so mad at each other that they split up. And then they come back from the holiday hiatus, and there's an episode or two where they're not together, and they're lost, and they're confused, and they're angry, and they eventually come back together because they have to. That's how their life works with the two brothers. The two brothers monster hunting together is the only thing that makes sense. And then at the end of that season, the other brother sacrifices himself so that the brother that already sacrificed himself doesn't have to sacrifice himself again. And
Huh.
season 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 follow that same exact pattern of whatever brother sacrificed themselves comes back, and then all of a sudden they go, then by mid-season they fight about the thing that brought them back from the dead or whatever the sacrifice it was they made or who made what sacrifice, and then they spend a couple of episodes mad at each other. Then they come back, and then by the end of the season, the other one will sacrifice themselves instead, and it literally follows
It
that
just
pattern.
follows a loop.
Yeah, and it just loops like that for 5 years, over and over.
Jeez.
The nice thing is, I can report at the end of season 10 that did not happen that time.
That's good.
So who knows what will happen in season 11 for me? But it's just so
Jeez.
weird that there is like a literal pattern to the thing, which is like, oh, I came back, and then they got mad that you made the choice to sacrifice yourself without talking to me, or I did this for you, and you should be happy, and you're not. And now we're gonna spend 2 episodes pouting about it, and then we're gonna come back to each other and be like, I can't quit you. And then
Jeez. Oh my god. That's crazy.
and this is and yeah, it worked. I mean, it worked for 5 seasons for them at least, where it like, just kept coming back because, like, I think WB is afraid to cancel them. I think Warner Brothers is afraid to cancel them off of CW at this point because it's kind of the thing that's holding the whole
It together.
foundation below itself.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Uh,
I never knew why there was a reason for me to not watch
but
Supernatural, but now I know what the reason is.
but the other thing that comes from this is that, like, everybody who makes a television show saw that happen. They
Yeah.
see Supernatural go from a show that should have ended 9 years ago that is now still going because someone put that show up on Netflix and it exploded. And they've been chasing that dragon ever since. It's why like shows keep getting picked up by Netflix. It's why Netflix will spend $100 million to
Yep.
keep Friends because they know that they have like that people coming for one specific show can be the thing that keeps them coming back. And it's never been the same. I don't think there's another show that I think was like saved just by like past things. Well, that's not true. I mean, it's essentially what happened to Family Guy. Family Guy gets canceled after 3 seasons, and the
Yeah.
DVD sales are so good that they bring it back 3 years later, and it's still going now.
Yeah. Or even I think American Dad happened too. Like American Dad was canceled and then it was picked up by another network.
It was brought over by TBS, and now
Yes.
TBS will just let that go into perpetuity. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
and it's the craziest thing to think that like a show that for what seems like a lot of people is background noise, like Supernatural just seems like a show that is just on before the thing that you were going to watch or after. So sure, just leave it on and we'll watch it, and then we'll watch what
Yeah.
we want to watch afterwards, kind of thing. which I think is exactly what Friends is, which is why I think it's crazy that they just spent $100 million to keep Friends.
The
Because I don't
funniest,
think I don't think anybody watches Friends on Netflix anymore. I think they just put it on to fall asleep.
yeah,
Like,
or something like that. I don't know. I've never seen like the full series of Friends, so Devin was like, "Oh, you could do a podcast about you watching Friends for the first time,"
there's gotta be a podcast like that on.
and
There's,
I mean, they're yeah, probably, but I would have brought something different. Yeah. So
I
he
mean, if
was
you want
like,
to do it, we can do it. That's the other thing. That's not gonna stop me from also doing that podcast.
so he was like, "Hey, just so you know, Friends leaving Netflix January 1st. So here's what you could do." And he like did all this math of how I could binge through it. And then yesterday I read that they spent $118 million to keep
Jesus
it.
Christ.
And I was like, "So Friends isn't leaving." uh
Oh man,
crazy.
Friends is weird because it is a show that I remember my mother and my cousin loved it. And so it got watched in my house. And I remember it being a big thing for them to watch it every week. And I remember when it ended, it was a big thing. Like, I remember watching the series finale. I also realized I missed like 50% of that show. So at some point, I did go back and watch it on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I ever need to go back and watch Friends again
It's a weird.
because
Yeah.
it, it's a weird time capsule of the late 90s and early 2000s, which was a time when, one, you had an entire show full of white people and no one said a thing.
Yeah.
Aisha Tyler shows up for a season. That's it. And like, there's also just like a lot of gay panic and homophobia in that show that like was just the way that we made jokes in the
Oh
late
yeah.
90s and early
Oh
2000s.
definitely.
There's like an entire episode where Freddie Prinze Jr. is shows up as a male nanny, and it's like mind blowing
Yeah.
to them,
That's
and it's like,
crazy.
oh come on, guys. So like, there's a like, it's weird because obviously like Friends is still big. Like, I get that a lot of people went probably joined Netflix so they could watch Friends and then started watching other stuff. And I get that it probably gets a lot of views, although I will argue till my dying day that a lot of those views are people who threw it on in the background while they were doing other stuff
Yeah,
because
because
Friends
they've
is just an
already
easy thing
seen
to
it.
have on. Right.
Yeah.
I think that them spending $100 million to keep it right now is their assumption that that momentum will keep going,
Yeah.
and I don't think it will. They're going to run out of people who care about bothering to sign up for Netflix to watch Friends at some point, and like keeping it on for the people who have already watched it a million times. I cannot imagine that $100 million is worth that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I don't know. Friends has always been the thing that I've seen a couple episodes, like I know the characters and all that. I've always liked it from a distance, but I've never like I've liked what it I've liked the idea of Friends more than I've liked Friends. Like the idea of where they are now, like where the actors are now, and that they might still have contact with each other, that they still talk. Like I like that side of it. That it seems like one of those shows that you form like kind of a family with, and you still stay friends with these people. And
I remember
but I don't.
after
I mean, I also don't know if that's the case. I don't know if they're still best friends. You think they are?
I think
Like
it's
the
a I think it's a
jokes
mix.
happen.
Yeah,
Um.
I think it's a mix. I think
Yeah.
that there was, I mean, again, there was always like those kind of like Seinfeldian rumors of things where like, oh, they all secretly hate each other or they're fighting about this. And it's like, well, no, I think it's just that when you know someone for a decade, you have ups and downs in your friendship as human beings. But
Exactly.
like, but even like the relationship with the audience, I think that that's also, I think that's a lot of it. Like you said, like, I remember, I don't remember what season it was or what that would have coincided with the opening of Scream. But I remember the big thing about Scream is that's where Courtney Cox and David Arquette met,
Yeah.
And the next season of Friends was when she started getting credited as Courtney Cox Arquette. And I don't remember why. I don't know. That means nothing. That means nothing ultimately. And yet to me, that was like, I remember that being like I remember like my mother noticing it.
Yeah.
She didn't even make a big deal out of it. I just remember my mother, like when the season started or the episode started, and my mother going, "Oh, it says Courtney Cox Arquette now. That's interesting."
Yeah.
And like to me, because I was a Scream fan, for me, like that was like huge.
Yeah.
Like
That's so funny.
so, and
Yeah,
like
it's
that's the sort of relationship I have with it, which is
mm,
like I'm 50-50 on Friends half the time, but the fact is like I always wish that that I always wish, I mean, I'm happy Matt LeBlanc has episodes, and I always
yes.
wish that Matthew Perry, I almost said Matthew Lillard.
Mhm.
That ain't him. That Matthew Lillard is Shaggy and Stewart and
Yeah.
guy from Twin Peaks: The Return whose head explodes. Uh, yeah, I got to watch Matthew Lillard's head explode when I watch Twin Peaks now. It's
Jeez.
interesting. Um, oh God, I want to say that though. Let's go back for a second. Matthew Lillard gets should get so much more credit for his acting ability because not only was he Shaggy so good that they gave him the job after Casey Kasem died,
Yeah.
um, but like to see something like Scooby Doo, and then to watch Twin Peaks: The Return, where he has nothing but major dramatic acting to do, and he does it flawlessly.
Phenomenally.
He gets he does not get nearly as much credit as he should. Anyway, Matthew Perry deserves better than serving Sarah. That's what I really wanted to say. Or Fools Rush In.
I
I think that was the
gotcha.
one he did with Selma Hayek. Like Matthew Perry deserved more, and I'm glad. Like when he showed up on Scrubs, like that was the greatest for me. His one episode on Scrubs is so good. Um, what's wrong with Murray? Murray is an old man's name. um, I just lost my train of thought.
It's
Oh,
okay.
sorry. So yeah. So seeing their careers afterwards, like that was the thing where it was like, I love I love that Friends existed because I love those actors.
Yeah.
Like I love like every time they work, they do really good work, and for some reason they just don't seem to get as much work as I think they deserve.
Yeah. I mean, I think like the my two favorite have are definitely Matt LeBlanc and Jennifer Aniston, and their careers afterwards have seemed to be more prominent than any of the
Yeah,
others.
and
I
that's
mean,
because
David
I
Schwimmer is on Will and Grace now,
is he really?
and yeah, he's
I thought he was still stuck as a giraffe in
no,
Madagascar.
but like, yeah, I guess it's the Friends jokes aspect that happens. Like, there's an episode of episodes where Matt LeBlanc is trying to get the other friends to come to like some benefit dinner, and none of them will come because they're like, yeah, no, you're an asshole. Even though he's really not. He's like just a chill dude, but in the show he is.
Right.
It's funny. I don't know.
No, yeah, and I think, and I also think that for a lot of people, like Seinfeld is a certain group of like a certain generation's Seinfeld,
Mm,
and Friends is the next generation's version of that
yeah.
in a lot of ways. I think it's just a show that it was seemingly fundamental because it was on all the time when you were a kid, and so you can't picture a time when it wasn't on or that these actors weren't working. And now we're at a time where they're not working as much as we think they should be, and Scrubs has this weird nostalgia factor to it. But God, I'm not kidding. Don't go back and watch it, everybody. You might not want to. There's a lot. It's just okay. That's the problem. It's not a bad show. It is just a show that is just okay. Don't ever convince yourself it was more than that. Um,
Well,
I'll also remember the time. I'll also always going to remember that they like completely skipped over 9/11 in that show.
oh,
Like what they did was 9/11 happened and they like delayed the opening of that show that season, and then like the only thing that really changed was the skyline shots of New York, and everyone started wearing "I Love New York" and FDNY T-shirts. Like that was their acknowledgement of 9/11 on that show.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I never watched Scrubs, so
oh my God, see, Scrubs is another one I absolutely love. Scrubs is like my friends. Scrubs is the show that I love and will defend, including season 9 for a lot of reasons. Season 9 is a show that suffered from the fact that they were afraid to let Zach Braff go away.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem with the last season of Scrubs, because with the med school season of Scrubs was that they refused to make it a spin-off, but also they refused to let Zach Braff leave and just let the new cast do its thing. And that new cast was excellent. The new cast that introduced me to Dave Franco.
Yep. That's the only thing I know about the final season of Scrubs.
The saddest thing about that final season is it also had the kid who played Jet Jackson, and after that season ended, within a couple of years is when he passed away. So like, yeah, it's a show that's the show that, like, again, I can go back and tell you all of the problems with it, but I will also tell everybody to watch Scrubs because I love it so much. So obviously I don't deserve to be on this high horse I've put myself on Friends, because I will do the same for Scrubs any day of the week. But at the same time, if Scrubs disappeared tomorrow off of the internet, which I think it already has, I don't even know if it's on Netflix anymore.
I don't think so.
I don't think it's a show that's worth $100 million to go to bat for either. So yeah. That's everything I have.
Yeah. I mean, I think I hit everything except for Castlevania, but I want to wait to talk about Castlevania another time.
All right. That's fine, because I've got stuff I want to wait till next time. Do yourself a favor, listeners out there, do yourselves a favor as well, and look at the people talking about the song "Baby It's Cold Outside" right now, because it's in a weird space.
Yeah.
It definitely went through its period of, oh, this song is kind of creepy, but it's starting to turn around in a very interesting way that I would love to talk about, but it's going to be like a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
So that'll be for next week, I think. But definitely, like, people should look at that song and, like, people talking about it right now, because there are people talking about, like, the history of it now in a really interesting way.
Yep.
But yeah, that's all I've got.
That's all I've got.
Then we'll go grab ice cream in a second, but first you can find us on Twitter at sayreportjr, and you can find us on YouTube if you look up sayreportjr, and you can find us individually on Twitter. I am at Zerwisky.
And I am at Dale's Brain. I think on that point, let's all go ice cream. Let's all get ice cream.
Let's all turn into Adam Sandler and go get ice cream.
Yeah. Take it away, Liz.
Thank you for listening to The Say Report with your hosts Dale Decker and Zach Sarowik. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.